Welcome to the final lesson of this course. In this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to assemble some of the resin pieces that we've made throughout the course to create some really cool accessories. We're going to start out by making two badge reels and a pop socket. One of the badge reels is made of metal and the other one is made of plastic. We're going to be using those circular resin pieces that we finished in the last lesson. And I'm going to show you how to adhere them to the badge reels and the pop socket. The first thing that we're going to do is score the tops of the badge reels and the pop socket by sanding it with 120 grit sandpaper. Then we're going to score the backs of those resin circles with that same sandpaper. Having these surfaces be a little rough and scored helps the glue to adhere them better. Now that our pieces are sanded, I'm going to be using this super glue to adhere the pieces to each other. Now, this is my tried and true glue. I've used this on literally hundreds of pop sockets and badge reels. This stuff is incredible. All you need to do is put a few small drops onto the surface of the badge reel or the pop socket, whichever one you're going to assemble first. But you don't want to saturate it or flood the top of this surface. You just want to put a few drops around the rim, around the edge, and in the center. And then you're going to line up the resin piece and press it onto it. And look at them, aren't they pretty? That's it, our badge reels and our pop socket are done. So do you remember these from our last module? These are our finished 8-bit hearts. They've been backed and cured. Now when we talk about backing a resin piece, it's the exact same process as doming. You're creating surface tension on the back of a piece and letting the resin cure. It makes for a smooth finish on the back rather than a sharp edge around the rim. So these are all cured and sparkly and beautiful, and we're going to actually turn these into pins. But first I want to show you what it looks like compared to the pink heart from module 3. If you remember back to module 3, we mixed up the pink resin and added glitter in the mixing process. Well, when you pour the glitter at the same time that you're mixing it, all the glitter falls to the front. But when we use that other technique of layering the resin and putting in those layers, you see that the glitter is kind of in the background. Okay, so now let's turn these two into pins. You can find these sticky adhesive pin backs on Amazon or at any craft store really. And all you do is score the back of your piece, peel off the backing for that pin, and stick it right on. It's that simple. These pins are great for backpacks or jackets. They add a little bit of flair and character to anywhere you put them. There are other types of pin backs as well. There are even magnetic pin backs. So there's so many types, but you can use whatever you want to do to make it fit your aesthetic or your look that you're going for. But aren't these cute? Wouldn't these be so cute on a backpack? All right, so this is our final piece that we'll be working on to create a multi-piece keychain. So this is our statement heart with a name, our mermaid tail, and we're going to turn these into keychains. First, I'm going to take the mermaid tail out of the mold because you haven't seen it yet, and I'm so excited for you to take a look. Remember, we were doing the rainbow gradient effect on it using mica powders. So here it is, blended and beautiful and vibrant. But if you take a look around the edge, you can see that there's a little excess resin around the rim. We want to get rid of that so that the edges aren't as sharp. You can use a piece of sandpaper if you'd like to, but I prefer to use my Dremel drill, which has a sanding attachment. All right, so using that drill with the sanding attachment on, I turn it on to a level 3 or 4, and then I just go around the edge and sand off any excess resin that might have spilled over the side of the mold. It's super quick, super easy, and then that leaves that edge less sharp. I'm also going to sand the edge of the heart, but I'm going to use the sandpaper instead. So that same 120 grit, and I'm just going to go around it and smooth out those edges. The reason why I'm not using the drill here is because this edge isn't as pronounced. It's just very, very small. So I'm just skipping the drill and using the sandpaper instead. Now to turn these into keychains, I'm going to be using a jewelry bail. I find that these are easier to use than drilling a hole into the top of the resin piece and then using an eye screw. What I have found is that eye screws can snap, especially when you're drilling them into place, and also finding a drill bit small enough to fit the eye screw can be a little bit hard or tricky. I haven't had a lot of luck with eye screws and tiny drill bits. I've broken more drill bits trying to make keychains than you would even think possible. So instead, I prefer to use glue-on bails. So you're going to sand just the area on the back of your resin piece where the bail is going to sit, creating a little bit of scuffiness and roughness. And then you're also going to sand the back of the bail as well, where it's going to attach to the resin piece. Whenever I'm gluing anything onto the resin pieces, I always want to sand both components. Okay, then you're just going to put a tiny drop of that same super glue I told you about earlier onto the bail and then adhere it to the back of the resin piece. Hold it for a few seconds and then that's it. After it's cured for a couple of hours, you can then add your jump rings and clasps to make it a keychain. You can put both of these on the same ring, or you can switch it up and put them on their own rings and add a cute little puff ball as well, like I did here. And that's it. You've reached the very end of the course. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about resin crafting and all the techniques that were included here. I hope that all of this was really helpful for you, and I wish you all the best and much success in the future. Take care.